Thank you. Okay, so let's like I said, we'll do two more here. Two more standard deviations just to make sure we got the practice down, okay? We kind of like split it up at the end of the day yesterday and then at the start of class today. So I want to make sure we get like at least one full standard deviation down together, and then I'll have you guys try one on your own. Okay? So here we go. All right. So I think it's supposed to say 4. For the following sets of data, calculate the mean and the standard deviation of the data. Describe the mean and standard deviation in words after calculating it. Okay. So the data set below gives the prices in dollars of cordless phones at an electronics store. So here are, well, you see, back in the day before everyone had a cell phone, we actually had to buy like phones for the house, and so they came up with these things called cordless phones where the phone receiver wouldn't have to be connected to the body of the phone. Like this phone is a corded phone because it's got a cord there. But there are other phones. It's kind of like a cell phone, but you can only travel like within your house. If you went too far, then it wouldn't make the signal. Anyway, you guys, this is ancient technology, okay? But anyway, these are prices for those cordless phones, okay? So the first thing we want to do is find the mean. So go ahead, take 2 seconds, find the mean there. Let's do well, I guess this is price, so maybe 2 decimal places, right? Okay. Frank, did you get the mean for us? What'd you get? 60.71 is our mean. Very good. Okay. Remember that N represents the number of data points. So, Jackson, how many data points do we have for this example here? Yeah, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I see 7, but yeah, 7. Okay. So then if that's N, Jackson, what's N minus 1 going to be? Uh-huh. Yeah, 6. Very good. Okay. All right, we're going to put all our test scores down the first column. 35, 50, 60, 60, 75, 65, 80. Okay. Now we're going to do the next thing in our column here. It says difference from the mean. There should be a little bar above that X right there. So we're going to do X minus X bar. So these are test scores. We're going to subtract the mean from each one of these. So it'll be 35, take away 60.71. 50 minus 60.71. 60 minus 60.71. 60 minus 60.71. 75 minus 60.71. 65 minus 60.71. 80 minus 60.71. And I'll actually do those then. You used your y equals? Yeah. Okay, that works, yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's type this in here. There's all the subtractions, and now what are we supposed to do with all those differences? Each one of these differences that we found, we are now going to do what? For this third column, what are we going to do? Square them, right? Difference from the mean, quantity squared there. So we're going to square each one of these differences. Make sure you put the negatives in parentheses. Okay, so you should get positive 661 here. Yeah, with rounding. And 114.7, 0.50. Okay. Once we square all of our differences, okay, so again, test scores, subtracted the mean from all the test scores, got their differences, took all those differences and squared them. Now what are we supposed to do here? Add them all up. You got it. You're going to let me do it?
Yeah.
You're going to let me have all the fun, Brady? All right, there. I took all your fun from you. Okay. So what now?
Isn't this our last full week of school?
Last full week. That's right. You have basically one week of school. I mean, next week, this time, will be our last class together, unless some of you guys need to come in on Wednesday to make up an exam or something like that. Okay. So what this is, right, this is the sum of the difference of our test scores minus our mean squared there. They're missing a couple things there, okay? So 1,371.4 is that sigma. That's a Greek letter sigma, by the way. It means stands for sum. When you see that in math, it means to add things up. Okay? X minus X bar, so our test scores minus the mean, quantity squared, and then add them up. Right? That's what we did right there. Okay, now we're going to find the sum of the difference from the mean squared. Okay, so we're going to take this number, right, and divide it by the degrees of freedom, n minus 1. So the sum is 1,371.4 divided by n minus 1. What did Jackson say our n minus 1 was? 6. Okay, so 1,371.4 divided by 6 gives us 228.6, if I round. That's our variance, okay, to get the standard deviation. Standard deviation is the square root of what you just calculated, the variance. Okay, so square root the variance there. 15.1. There's our standard deviation. Okay, so let's answer some of these questions then. All this work to get that little number right there. Okay? Isn't that great?
Fun.
Yes. With a capital F-U, right, guys?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
thank you.
That's what you feel like, right? Anyway. Between what range of numbers does 68% of the data fall? 68% of what data here? Oh, it's our data right here, right? So how many standard deviations away gives us 68% of the data?
One.
One standard deviation. And it's one standard deviation from the mean. Remember, the mean is the center, right? So there's the mean in the center. If you go one standard deviation away in the positive direction and one standard deviation away in the, well, the negative direction, you know, to the right, to the left, okay? This creates an interval where 68% of your data will fall between there, okay? What is the mean in our problem here? So we're going to do 60.71 plus a standard deviation of 15.1, and we'll do 60.71 minus a standard deviation of 15.1. Okay, let's do that math. Okay, 75.81 is the upper end of our interval there. And then 45.61 is the lower end of our interval. Okay, so 68% of the prices, because these are prices in this case, fall between $45.61 and $75.81. Okay. So, what about between, for the range of numbers for 95% of the data? How many standard deviations is 95%? 2. Okay? So we're going to take that 60.71, our mean. We're going to add 2 standard deviations to it. And we'll take that mean and subtract 2 standard deviations from it. And that'll give us our upper and our lower bounds there. Okay, so 90.91 and 30.51. 95% of the prices fall between $30.51 and $90.91. Okay? Questions on any of that? Okay, so we're leading you through how to do the standard deviation calculation, right? How to find the standard deviation. And again, what is a standard deviation? Okay, it kind of like provides us a way for any set of data, okay, to compare how those data sets are spread out. Okay? For any set of data, if you find the standard deviation and you go 1 standard deviation above or below from your mean, then that will account for about 68% of your data. Okay? So if one data set's standard deviation is bigger than another data set's standard deviation, that means the original data set, right, the bigger standard deviation data set, that's more spread out than the second data set. Okay? Stuff like that. All right? To get 95% of your data, then you go 2 standard deviations away from your mean. All right? Both in the positive direction and the negative direction. And that gives you an interval then, or between, what sets of numbers there, where 95% of your data is. Okay? So, turn your paper over, please, and I want you guys to work on this right now. Okay? Try these ones out. Okay? You see, same exact questions, just slightly different numbers. Okay? But try it on your own and see how you do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone else need to borrow a calculator for this? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else need a calculator for this? Any other calculators? Okay, so go ahead and try that calculation out there, please. Mm-hmm.
What made you want to become a teacher?
There's the old, adage, those who can't teach.
This is last.
Just kidding. That's not what I'm.
This is last option.
And it's basically I was no good at anything else.
Yeah. No.
And they're like, well, maybe you could become a teacher. And I was like, well,
I could be like a gym teacher or something, and a coach.
Are you looking over to teacher?
I look like a gym teacher.
I just wear shorts and jerseys every day.
Interesting. I would like to be able to wear shorts every day. That would be nice.
Yeah, right? You don't wear this
Well, I guess I could potentially.
Is your coach Stein, dude?
Well, he's a phys ed teacher though. Oh, someone's very important. Okay, so no, why did I become a teacher? Here's why I became a teacher. When I was graduating high school and going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went into college undecided, which was very foolish because when you go to college, you're spending a lot of money then to figure out what you want to do. It's better to be focused about what you want to do, so that way you can spend that money wisely. Luckily, though, when I was in college, I decided to keep taking math classes, And when it came time to decide what major I wanted to do, I had the option of being a math major basically, or becoming a math teacher. And I was like, well, if I'm a math major, then I'll probably be sitting in front of a computer all my life. And I didn't want to sit in front of a computer all my life because I already do like to do that for fun when I play video games and stuff. And I feel like it would have been just too much to sit in front of a computer all day long.
Don't you do calculus too?
I have in the past, yeah. And I had 2 really good math teachers, Trey, that I liked in high school. Okay, not that I was a bad student or anything like that, but you know, I had 2 math teachers that I really liked, and I was like, well, maybe I'd like to do that for my students. So, and there's also a really nice scholarship available too.
I like marketing and business.
Well, then you should pursue that if that's something you're interested in.
This is X right here, right?
X bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the X minus X bar. Yeah, do be careful here. Some of the stuff didn't show up. Okay, so this should be X minus X bar there, and this should be X minus X bar squared. Okay, it looks like everything else show. Well, this should be X minus X bar squared there too. Okay, so Trey, this is something for you to try too. Turn that paper over there. Okay, give it a try. School's not over yet. We still have a whole week together still, and you have a quiz still to take.
Oh boy.
I understand.
I got in school for 2 years straight.
Wait, teachers are the best thing because they like all summer off or something.
Yeah,
Some of them do.
You get to control what the kids want to do.
Somewhat.
You get them in trouble, call their parents if you want to.
Can, yep.
That isn't the thing that you want.
I'm telling you.
No, then they have to deal with like bad emails and all that.
You know Alice is a cyberbully, right?
I know. I know that Trey likes to avoid his work though.
Me?
Yeah, you. Get your calculator out. Let's do our stuff. Come on. We have calculations.
You just want me to play basketball. That's
Yeah. Do we have anyone out, Mr. Stever? Looks. Okay. When Braden comes back then.
So are you?
not.
Tell the football team.
No.
For the team, yes. One more step.
Yeah. Marching band.
You can do both.
No? How you gonna be marching in?
Guys, excuse me. We have work to do. Let's get to work, please. All right? Please. You guys need to practice this. We have a quiz on it. Test coming up on Thursday and Friday. Okay? Test Thursday and Friday. So.
Wait, why Thursday and Friday?
Because remember, we do Performance Matters. So Friday we do Performance Matters. Sorry? I don't think we can. Why do you want to do Performance Matters first?
Don't we usually do the performance matters and
No, normally.
performance matters, then review, then test.
No, normally we do the test, then we do Performance Matters the day after the test. We have changed it up once in a while though, where you do the Performance Matters first. But hello.
So you get the
Hi.
total and then you speak to the
Hey, no problem.
So you get the second column answer, right, Don?
Yes, no problem.
And then you score
Hi.
that.
She already knew.
So you get the second column answer and then you multiply by itself.
You square it for the third column.
Were you ever in high school and decided you hate school so much?
Was there ever a high school that I hate school so much? I'm sure I was frustrated. Yes. Sure, I was frustrated at some point.
I get frustrated a lot. Football.
Did I get
and
stressed?
school. You get really stressed?
Yes.
I do not play. I'm just looking to play hands on catch. One thing. You're a teacher.
Okay. Guess I should start doing this too. Mm-hmm.
This is the difference minus.
Yeah, do that minus the mean to get that, and then square that to get this. In your
Oh, so
third
wait,
column.
just 3.1.
You square all your answers. Yep, and make sure you again put them in parentheses for those negatives. Okay. I don't know. You might have fallen in. Just give them a few more minutes just in case. There you go, Alessandro.
So wait, this is right, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just like that in parentheses. Yep. Okay. And then re-add again if your sum was a little bit off. Maybe we should really try this out. Instagram's not going to help you pass this class. Trying this out. Pass the quiz on Friday. Test on Thursday, Friday. You guys have any questions or anything? That's what I went to there. I'll come take a look. That okay? Very good. I got a little bit different answer than you did. That's okay. Calculation mistake there. question? Sorry, Brady. Should be, yeah, 11 minus 7.2. Yep, subtract it. Yep. Yep.
Oh, and P. Jackson overrated. Take that and the squares. Yeah, square this, square this, square this, square this. Square the answer there, square the difference. Alright, what's up? So you need to find the mean, and you're going to do your test score minus the mean. So you got to find the mean. Use your calculator.
And that's the range, highest minus lowest. Mean is that X with a bar on top. Remember when you do one bar stats? That's the mean. Okay.
Olivia, do I see your hand?
You're good? Okay. Yes, it's very tedious. What's that? Why have to put so much? I agree. I agree.
Let's do this one more time. This time. What's that? Go on the test? Well, I mean, there is. There will probably be
Not as long as
about
this, though.
standard deviation. I don't know. It probably won't take you this long once you get the test because we'll get better at it, learn some different strategies and things.
No, it's just putting the points in.
What?
It's just putting the points out.
Okay, so now you're going to take your test score X and subtract. Well, that should be X minus X ball. You're going to do 11 minus 7.2. 7 minus 7.2. 14 minus 7.2. 2 minus 7.2 is the answer. You're almost done.
I think I get it now. I mean,
Oh.
I'm fine with Fire Emblem. It's fine, but it means not that
Okay, there are all of your differences that you should have. Okay. So you have 3.8, negative 0.2, 6.8, negative 5.2, 0.8, 5.8, negative 4.2, negative 1.2, 2.8, negative 4.2, 0.8, negative 3.2, 0.8, negative 3.2,
How about you
That's your differences.
now you have to.
You square all those. You're going to square all these differences.
Oh, I thought that was the third one.
No, I'll show you the third. You want me to show you the third column too?
No, they didn't.
What's that?
You don't know what GD is.
Wait, that's not the third one.
That's the second column.
This is a lot of
It's a lot of tedious calculations. You know what? You know, would be really well suited for doing something like this would be a computer or a calculator, right? This looks like a spreadsheet almost, right? You guys can actually use Excel or Google Sheets, right? They'll actually do this kind of stuff for you, make it a lot easier.
I wish I can like save my calculator, put it in.
Mhm. All right. Well, just in the interest of time here, I'm going to show you then the squares. So there's all the squares.
Is it fine for the second one negative
So no, okay, when you square something, Grady, what make sure you put parentheses around it, right? Because when you square something, you multiply by itself. A negative times a negative, you better get a positive answer. Okay? You gotta be careful when you type it in your calculator, because your calculator will give you the wrong answer if you type it in incorrectly. Okay, so be careful with that. You need to use parentheses when you're squaring stuff in your calculator. Okay, so you add up all those squares, and you get 188.4, or I got 188.4. Is that what everyone else got? Yes-ish? Okay, you take that sum, you divide by the numbers of degrees of freedom. That is n minus 1. So 15 is the number of data points. So 15 minus 1 is 14. So you're going to divide by 14. And you get your variance of 13.46. That's an approximation, I think. I rounded there. Okay, and then you square root your variance, and you get your standard deviation. Okay? So, if we want to figure out between what range of numbers does 68% of the data fall, how many standard deviations do we go to find 68% of the data? One standard deviation from the mean. Okay, folks, we need to know this. 7.2 is our mean, and we're going to add to it a standard deviation of 3.67. Okay, then 7.2 is also the mean, and we're going to subtract 3.67. Okay, so there's the subtraction one, and then there's the addition one. Okay, so 68% of the waiting times of the wait times are between 3.53 and 10.87 minutes, I'm guessing, yeah. Okay? If we want to find 95% of our data, how many standard deviations do we have to go out? Okay, so again, from our mean, if we go one standard deviation in the positive direction, one standard deviation in the negative direction, okay, that gives us 68%. How many standard deviations do we have to go out for 95%? How many? Two. So from the mean, 7.2, add 2 standard deviations. And from the mean, subtract 2 standard deviations. So 14.54 and negative 0.14. Okay, so obviously that lower limit is like completely impossible, but 95% of the wait times are between negative 0.14 and 14.54 minutes. Okay, in fact, in this case, it's 100%, but anyway. Okay, there are our answers. Any questions on any of that? Well, Mr. Stewart, actually, let me go right back.
You'll get your chance. Okay, so Ian, do you know Olympic Games? Now it's just Sonic and the Olympic Games. They're making a mobile game called just Sonic and the Olympic Games. Bro, they just killed that mobile game.
I did
Okay, so let me show you something. All right, so we used our graphing calculators. So some of you guys, if you did this, right, you should have already in your graphing calculators this data typed in, right, into your L1. So if I press stat calc 1 bar stats, okay. All right, you'll see right here, right, there is our mean, 7.2. Sigma x stands for the sum of all of our data values, right? So that's the sum of all of our data values right there, okay? Sigma x squared, that's just the sum of our data values squared, okay? And then we come to Sx. Does that number look familiar to you? S of x there, does that look familiar? For our data values?
yes.
Yes, what is it?
It's the thing.
It's the standard deviation. Mr. Wood, are you serious? You just made us calculate all this when our calculator would have told us what the standard deviation was right there? Yes.
Wait, which one is it?
Yes, I did do that.
That
It's capital SX.
Oh, okay.
Capital SX. Okay? So this is your standard deviation. Okay? So in the future, do you need to do all this work to find your standard deviation?
No.
Answer is no. Okay? You don't. This is how you find standard deviation now. Okay? Just use your calculator. Type your data in, 1 bar stats, and there it is, 3.668. Okay? Remember, for 68% of your data, you go 1 standard deviation. So 1 SX, 1 of these S of X, so it's 1 3.66 added to your mean, and 1 3.66 subtracted from your mean. That gives you 68% of your data. If you go 2 standard deviations, so that's 2 standard deviations to the positive, 2 standard deviations to the negative, right? So twice 3.66 add it, or twice 3.66 subtracted from that, you will get your answer that way too. Okay? So that's your standard deviation right there. So your calculator can do a whole lot for you on this upcoming test on Thursday.
So wait, it's number of degrees of freedom is like number out of this, right?
Number of the minus 1. Number minus 1. N is the number of things, and minus 1 is your degrees of freedom. So that's 1. Yeah. And I'm not really sure where that number comes from, but that's the idea. All right, what we're going to do now, the remainder of class, all right, I'm going to pass out the review that we'll be working on tomorrow in class. So this will not be homework, but I just want to give you guys a chance to take a look at it, see what's expected of you for tomorrow or for Thursday's test. Okay.
Do we have a test on Friday?
Friday and Thursday. Friday will be the performance matters. Thursday is paper and pencil. Okay.
So we're doing it in reverse system.
This is not.
We're doing it. Yeah, that's the way we've been. Well, we did it. We did the paper and pencil first normally, but the last couple times we did the performance matters first. At the top here, these are all the topics that you should be familiar with. Braden, come on, man.
And go to bring it home.
This is high school, all right?
That was my one while I was doing it.
Bring him home.
All right.
He said he will.
It went all the way up there.
Yes, it did. All right. So please look over these topics. All right. You should know how to do these things. But then again, there's practice as well, right down here for you. Okay. Box and whisker plot stuff. Mean. Also asked about standard deviation. There's the 68% of the results will fall in what range. 95% of the results would fall in what range. Okay. So you should be able to do that too.
Answer is large one.
Okay. You may use your calculator when it comes to these line of best fit questions. Don't worry about not using your calculator for that. That's fine. Okay. And then, yeah, everything else should be good there. All right. So, there's that for you. Go ahead and get started on that. If you want to move around and work together, you may. Okay. If you want to move around and work together on this stuff, you may. Get this video compiling here.